Call to order the Ironton City Council meeting of January 22nd, 2026. I invite you to stand with us for the invocation and the pledge. I want to invite the assistant pastor from Real Life Ministries, Pastor September Detweiler, to come forward to lead us in our invocation tonight. Thank you.
If I could get everyone to bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with gratitude for this opportunity to gather and conduct business of our city. Lord, we honor you in this meeting and we acknowledge our need for your guidance in all that we do. We pray for wisdom, discernment, and integrity for those serving our city and our community. Grant clarity of thought, unity of purpose, and a spirit of cooperation as decisions are made that affect the lives of our residents. Help each leader to act with humility, fairness, and genuine concern for the common good. We ask your blessings over the city of Ironton, our families, our neighborhoods, our business, and public servants. May the city be marked by safety, compassion, and hope. Guide our words and actions tonight so that they bring about positive outcomes and lasting benefits to our community. Thank you for this pledge of service and for the freedom to gather in this way. May all that's done here be conducted with respect, responsibility, and wisdom. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brown.
Here.
Amy. Harvey.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Simmons. Here.
Very good. Moving on to the approval of minutes for the regular council meeting on December 22nd, 2025, and for the joint meeting of Ironton City Council and Lawrence County Commissioners of January 8th, 2026. Also, a couple of committee meetings, Public Utilities Committee meeting of January 8th and Finance Committee meeting of January 8th, and the regular council meetings of January 8th, 2026. All kinds of things to approve there. Any errors, omissions, or modifications needed for those meeting minutes? Barring none, those will stand approved. Moving on to audience participation. This time we have a couple of invited guests. I'd like to begin by inviting our representative from the Board of Education, J.T. Holt, and Ironton City School Superintendent Summer McCorkle to come forward to the podium. Board of Elections, sorry, I didn't say Board of Education, my bad.
I'm JT Holt, I'm the chair of the Board of Elections. I was contacted by Mr. Haney regarding potentially coming here to comment on the proposed ordinance regarding the sex offender ban on school property. I've shared this with a couple of council members. We do, as the Board of Elections and in person, I think that would be cause some issues. I would recommend that you make an amendment to allow the Board of Elections to facilitate the voting of everyone, no matter what their conviction record is. A lot of people think that, Mr. Anderson, I'm sure, informed you guys of this, but if someone's convicted of a felony, unless they're incarcerated on a felony conviction, their voting rights are not suspended or affected in any way in the state of Ohio. So the moment you're released from prison, your voting rights are restored automatically. So on a misdemeanor conviction, or even if you're in jail awaiting trial or any type of probation violation, that does not count to suspend your right to vote. And it is true that people can vote by mail, can vote by early voting at the Board of Elections, but I think you might just be fighting a necessary fight by not making an exception, say unless for electoral purposes or something when the schools are being used for election day, which we do use both Iron Middle School, which is the largest, one of our largest in the county, is definitely the largest on this side of the county, and the high school. So appreciate it. If you guys have any questions for me, happy to answer it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
I asked for the city schools and the survey, I think did too, just to get their input on things that were brought up like IEPs and things like that may be mandatory for a parent to be present. And so I teed her up a little bit before she came in here just to tell her why she was here, so we didn't catch her off guard. But to know really if there's anything that a parent would have to physically be present for that they couldn't do virtually, or DocuSign and some of those kind of things.
Right, and
the circumstance of an IEP meeting where we would need the parent to be present if they have educational decision-making rights for the child. They absolutely could participate virtually, and we could do electronic signature. My concern would be those events that require students to have their parental guardian present with them, and who could be a registered sex offender and still have custody and educational decision-making rights for their child. If that child were wanting to participate in an event where they would need that parental guardian with them, my concern would that for that child would be that could be a missed opportunity for the child due to the parent not being able to attend with them. That would be a concern of mine. That would be one of the only times that I can think of, and I need to preface with Mr. Harvey just kind of asked me this right outside in the hallway. So coming in, I'm thinking through, as far as the rights of the child and the parent, what could be a barrier for the child as far as through that equity lens of access, and that could be a possible barrier for the child. However, we currently have, as far as procedures in place, if we do have to have parents on site with the child who are registered sex offenders, we have those guardrails in place currently.
You mentioned to me a chaperone or someone with them.
Yes, they must give us notification, and then they are supervised while on school property. We arrange for that.
Okay.
Those are the guardrails there. Now, as far as the elections themselves, we do not have school on those days, so students are not on the campus. That being said, that would be a concern if we were in session, of course, yes. But that advanced with the elections, but just if we would have any type of legislation that would impact the rights of sex offenders could ultimately impact their own child in a negative way by barring their parents' access to the facility. It's a possibility.
And what verbiage did you use there? If they were needed to be present for something around their educational opportunity or rights, or what verbiage did you use?
For educational decision making,
Yes.
They could be
Yes.
They could be virtually present, yes,
Okay.
as long as they're able to participate, and then we would have signatures that could be just as we do with parents who are incarcerated and still have educational decision making rights. They can participate virtually or via phone call, and we could do electronic signatures as well.
Councilman Klein?
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it. So what instances might occur where they would need to be there for their education in person? I know you said they may need to be there in person.
I'm thinking
what
if
would that be?
For a child to participate in after-school programming, I'm thinking of Christmas concerts, those types of things that are related to the curriculum, that they would need a parent to bring them to be present with them. That could be a barrier. I'm just thinking through what could be barriers with that for the child.
And then on election days, there's no extracurricular activities, practices, any children in buildings during election day at all.
They should not be, correct.
Okay.
While the election is happening, yes. Voting, should I say.
And then overall, what's your opinion as far as proposed legislation to keep sex offenders away from events where there may be children?
I'm always going to err on the side of I want to protect our students, and I will say that, and also that I am not an attorney with many of the federal and state and local laws that could conflicting there. In my own opinion, I'm always going to err on, I want to do what's in the best interest of the child and the children, to protect them, yes.
Yeah.
So personally, am I a fan, or do I support that? I would not want sex offenders on our campus unless absolutely necessary or required by law. That we have to grant them access. There must be protections in place if that must happen.
Thank you.
Are the Iron schools closed for every election?
Yes,
Okay, all the buildings?
yes,
Whether
it is not an instructional day.
Okay.
We plan for that as well in next year's calendar that will be approved at February board meeting.
I'm curious, are there any, like, I know you haven't had much time to think on this, but do you have any ideas on language that we could maybe put into that legislation to encompass some exceptions that you think are vital, but while still having something in place as a safeguard?
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate this legislation for our children, I really do. And to give it, I think, what it needs, I would need more time.
More time, okay.
To ensure I didn't miss something, yes.
I understand.
You
Thank you.
could, well, I mean, like what she said a minute ago, that kind of blankets the vagueness of but I mean, making sure that you tidy it up, but like being, unless required by law, I think is a very good starting point. Or you rule out the things that don't apply to that or election day, which could be sporting events or whatever is not required to have a parent there. It could be simplified that way. Or you guys can do whatever you want, really, but
I jumped on the rough draft.
Did you?
I'd like to take it, I mean, I know we have a piece of legislation that's tabled right now, but I'd kind of like to work with Mac and Brigham to draft a new piece of legislation with that in consideration. And if you would be able to come up with some ideas as far as what city schools might feel to be
I would be happy to do
in
that,
coordination with that.
yes.
But I've also thought, and again, getting feedback from people in the public, I'd also like to include language that would include parks, splash pads, public pools, public libraries, or any public areas where children may gather. Or something to that nature also, in addition to that. So there's nothing that says that a sex offender couldn't go and sit at the splash pad and watch children right now. There's nothing that I could say.
Except for it's 19 degrees outside.
True. Big deterrent.
Just checking.
Right.
So there's not a law like that says like within so many feet of certain.
1,000 feet of the school is it.
Oh, well, that's a law.
No, that's,
Yeah,
they're not permitted to
Residential
reside.
purposes. The other,
Yes.
one of the things that just came to mind as well is we're struggling with chronic absenteeism and getting students to school. Another barrier could be, we would have to be very specific because a child may have a parent who is a registered sex offender and is their main form of transportation to school. So those are other things that we'd have to think about as well, setting those parameters.
I'm gonna work with Mac and Brigham to come up with an updated piece of legislation. If you would possibly email me some of your thoughts to include on that, and then I could send you possibly a draft back that they come up with to see if that'd be something that schools would approve.
Yes.
I wrote down some stuff, so I can also rough draft it and send it to you guys as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to invite our invited guest from IBI, Kevin Wood, to give us updates on projects they're overseeing in the city.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Wood. I'm with Arcadis. We serve as city engineers for Ironton. And I was asked to come and provide an update on several ongoing projects. organized. Pass some of these around. And I think this is my first time here with a couple of new council members. So, as you can see, we have a lot of different projects that we're involved with here in the city of Ironton. I will just kind of run through a summary of where things are, and feel free to ask questions at any point. I'll start at the top, the large project that's been ongoing for a couple years, the Bathroom Lane and Orchard sewer projects in the Green Valley area. You can see on the agenda there that there are 3 different contracts, and you can see the completion dates of each of those. Those are substantial completion dates, but there are ongoing punch list items, primarily on contracts 1 and 2, which were all the streets and storm sewer. And those will go into the spring where there will have to be seeding and reseeding and cleanup and some of those final items done. And so we have given the contractors until mid-April so that there's plenty of time to have some decent weather to get some of that work completed. But all of the project is operational. The pump station, the storm pump station, the sanitary pump station, all of that has been operational since those substantial completion dates. And I have a note on there at some point about doing an open house at that storm pump station to invite the public to come into and kind of see where their money was spent, at least on that component. I'm thinking it might be best to wait until spring to do that, and when they've done the final cleanup and everything, so maybe April, May-ish, but I'll circle back on that. Another large project that wrapped up not long ago was the South 3rd Street project, which was torn up for a while. That project replaced a water line that was continually breaking and then rebuilt the street, and also involved some storm sewer work. The third project, there was a street project on South Maple, and I'm having a...
South 5th and Maple.
South 5th and Maple, thank you. And that has been completed as well. And all of these projects have grants involved with them too, which if anybody wants details on that, I can provide. We are worked with John Haskins and the city at the wastewater plant to install an emergency generator. There were some power outages this past year, and there was not a working emergency generator. So that was completed in November. There is a reconstruction of pump station number 7 that is in the works and will be completed by June 30th of this year. The Walnut Sluice Gate project was completed in November. Item 7, the city received some funds to replace the bridge on North 5th Street, if you've been up there just adjacent to the railroad tracks. That was put out to bid several months ago, and there were no bidders. And we talked with contractors, and they're very concerned about working that close to the railroad tracks, and so we're having ongoing discussions with the city, and we will need to have more discussions about how to proceed with that project. The city received an ARC grant, and that will be used to pick up where the South 3rd project ended at Lorraine Street and repave up to approximately Jones Street. That will be put out to bid in the next month or two, and that work would happen this coming spring. We have, again, worked with John at the wastewater plant to do some work on the buildings, replacing roofs and windows and that sort of thing, and then rebuilding 5 sewer lift stations throughout town. We are addressing some EPA comments on those plans, and they should be wrapped up by the end of April. And another project, the truck wash bay for the city. We've completed design, and the city is working on permitting, and we'll get that constructed this year. We have been working with the city this past year on reconfiguring the way that your storm fee is collected. And that has been an ongoing discussion with the committee that we've had to make it a more fair method of collecting storm fees. So that is ongoing, and we hope in the coming months to have that finalized. If you're familiar again with the Batham Lane Green Valley project, the city purchased what was formerly the Rice property to place the large stormwater pump station on. And that sits in one corner of that 5-acre property. But on the remainder of that property, the city is planning to develop housing. There are 9 or 10 housing lots. So we have designed the street and the water and the sewer, and those sewer plans and water plans are being reviewed by the EPA for permits so that the city could move forward when they're ready to construct the street, the water, the storm, the sanitary, so that housing can be constructed there. The next item is tied into that project as well. It replaces a lift station, and it runs new sewer lines up near the old swimming pool site to fix a current problem that was up there with that sewer now, but also make that property provide sewer for that adjacent property for housing to be developed there as well. There are all new water meters that have been are being replaced in the city. There are a lot of old meters that weren't reading correctly, and that project should be completed. The contractor is saying by the end of February.
They weren't reading at all.
Yeah, a lot of the existing meters were not reading at all or correctly. The city has had to estimate. So this.
We've had to go out manually check.
Or manually read, okay, I'm sorry. But anyway, these new meters will remotely transmit the readings so that the city can more efficiently bill fairly for the amount of water that's used. You may have heard of PFAS. It's the forever chemicals that are a lot of river communities have issues with those chemicals being in their drinking water, so the EPA has provided grant funds to help remove those at the water plant. Ironton received a $149,000 grant to pay for the first step of remedying that, which is a general plan which we are working on right now, as well as to pay for testing that will be required. Our general plan will be done the end of March, and then we will work with the city to bring a contractor in to do testing on the water to determine the best method for removing the PFAS. Then the next phase would be constructing the infrastructure at the plant to do that work. So it's a multi-phase project. So far, it's been all grant funds. Our hope would be that most or all of it moving into construction would also be grants. At the riverfront, of course, the city has installed containers there over the last year or so, but a separate riverfront project, which I'm referring to here, is part of the Appalachian Community Grant Program you may have heard of. And Ironton received funds to construct a seawall and dock, ADA access from that dock to the upper level, and a sidewalk across the upper bank there. And then you also have an ODNR grant to install volleyball courts and playground equipment. So the work that we are involved in on the seawall and all of that, the contractor says that they plan to start work first half of March. That work by contract all has to be completed by October. That's a requirement of those federal funds. We are also, the next two projects are projects that we will be working on. It's for an emergency generator at the water plant and some major components at the wastewater plant that we've been talking with the city about cutting us loose on beginning design on both of those, so those we can apply for grant funding for construction and then move those to construction in the future. And then the last item on here, in the fall, we did an application to the Ohio Public Works Commission for funding to, I mentioned early on, the South 3rd Street, the large project, and then this smaller project, which will go to bid to continue that a little further north here in the next month or two. We submitted to OPWC to continue that street improvement on 3rd Street all the way to Center Street. We should hear in the next month-ish whether the city would get that grant or not. So that's a lot, especially for the newbies. So I'm open to any questions you might have.
Can you clarify what that truck wash bay is?
Yeah, the truck wash bay would be used like you have the street sweeper. Thank you, and that the truck wash bay is where that material could go. It can be used to clean any of the city equipment really. And rather than have all of that debris wash off into the storm sewer, it would take it to the sanitary sewer. In a nutshell is what that is.
Any other questions? I have a couple for you then.
Yep.
So the first one I have is related to the 3rd Street water line and street reconstruction project that is completed. One thing I've noticed driving through that end of town, there are a decent number of some dips and bumps, most of those being near where there are either manholes or drains, stuff like that. I don't know if there were any contingencies set aside for that.
Yeah, so John Elam asked that same question earlier, and I told him that I would get, I will follow up with the contractor, but rather than just telling him, hey, there are some manholes that might be unlevel and that sort of thing, I'd like to go to him with a list. So I told John that I would reach out to Mike Pemberton, but if anyone has any, it would be best if I could say, hey, at this address and that address and that address, these need adjusted, because I want to give them specific instruction on, where. And I've driven it, and I will check that out as well, but I would like to get some input from the city on just where those might be. So, however, if you could get that information, if you or anyone else has any specifics on that, then I can relay that to the contractor.
Mayor, is that something Mike Pemberton can
I was just, whenever you mentioned it before, I didn't, and you mentioned it just now. Now, on the design of the road, do you have those certain for it to drain particular ways? That's
the street is crowned, so it all drains to the curbs.
For where the catch basins are, is there I don't know what you would call that.
At the curbs?
Like a graded part that's causing those dips because of it has to drain in a particular way? Or?
No, the street's crowned, so the water will drain to the curbs, and then in some areas there are curb drains.
Yeah.
But if there are sanitary manholes, and there are a lot of manholes and things in that street for sanitary and water valves and all kind of things, it sounds like from what you're saying and what John said, some of those manholes may not be quite level. And, because they remove the street and then they repave it, if a manhole's too high or too low, they need to adjust that to grade. So there may be some out of kilter. I'm guessing.
Some of what I'm seeing, I don't know, John, about what you're seeing, but what I've noticed too is kind of all the way across the road, areas that are slightly raised up, or some areas that there are dips, more than just the manholes. And so I was just kind of concerned about that getting worse.
Okay, yeah, and I'll relook at that, but again, if there are any particular areas that anyone wants to mention, that would be helpful. And then I'll work with John and get with the contractor.
Very good. Thank you.
That they wouldn't be able to address the pavement issues until the asphalt plant's reopened, but now's the time to bring it to their attention.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I had for you was related to the riverfront improvements. I think if I remember correctly, the last time that you were here with updates, I know there was a lot of details still being worked out on how far that funding was going to go, and what was all going to be included in the project. Have we made headway on that?
Yeah, so this project, like every single riverfront project, the plan that I passed out the last time was kind of the grand plan. And when the contractors priced the project, there was not enough money to do everything. So what will be included with this project is, as I mentioned, there will be a new, at the water level, below like where the containers sit, there will be a seawall that juts out into the water in a concrete dock for boats to dock. And from that, which was on the plan, from the downstream end of that dock, there is an ADA, because we have to have ADA access, a sidewalk basically that will go up from the dock to the entrance drive that comes in through the flood wall, and then up to the parking lot. And then from the parking lot, there will be a sidewalk that extends all the way across the top of the bank over to where the volleyball court and playground will be. And then there will be like 4 light fixtures along that upper level sidewalk. That is, and there will be 1 set of stairs from the dock up to the upper level. The grander plan had 2 sets of stairs, and it building that upper level out, that had to get removed due to budget constraints.
Can you maybe provide the updated, I know we've had it.
Yeah, I can forward the update.
Okay, rendering.
Yeah. Should I send that to you to circulate?
We send it to them. All of us.
I think I have an email that Marta sent to everybody, so I'll circulate that.
Yes, Lee?
Kevin, I'm just going to ask for Ms. Tussey here. It says you're working on the punch list for that. Was there been any solution for the drainage on those 4 or 5 homes that she's been talking about, the tree lawns, and the pavement?
Yeah, so, hello Mary.
Hi.
I know that there were 2 yard drains installed, one on either side of the drive to your rental property. And I don't know that, I haven't heard anything, and I don't know if there's been any heavy enough rain since then to.
It hasn't. How did those drains look though, when you looked at them?
Yeah, I drove down, it was a week ago maybe. We hadn't had a whole lot of rain, but they were kind of mudded up a little bit over top that I had some concerns about. And like I said, we haven't had super heavy rain or anything, but just given that it had kind of drizzled and they had kind of been swallowed up by mud and dirt, I had some concerns about that.
Yeah, I mean, like all of the project has to be seeded and the seed has to take. And at the end of the season, well, that was one of the later things done as they were getting into the really hot weather. It didn't seed. And that's part of the reason we extended these contracts out to April, because on many of these areas, spring's going to come and there won't be grass. They're going to have to go back in and reseed and clean up. So over the entire project, until the grass takes to hold around like those types of structures, that will be something that will have to be maintained until it does seed. But
Did you notice, I seeded it myself, I had the prettiest greenest grass down there. So it's not a fact that there's no seed, you can go down there right now and look, it's the greenest grass you'll ever seen, it's all seeded and I did it myself. So that's not the problem, and it's actually 12 homes, not 4 or 5, that have that problem.
so there's grass around
I've got
the,
I've got tons of grass there.
but there's mud on it.
Yeah,
So if it's grass around it, how would there be mud on it?
I guess water runs to it and brings dirt, I don't know. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, I mean the water, if it's all grass around it and sidewalk, there shouldn't be mud unless there's mud on the sidewalk or something that it would carry to it.
I did, when I took a picture the other day, I was noticing I had the prettiest grass down there. Yeah, worked hard on it.
So
I'm tired of mud sitting on all my,
Oh, yeah.
on everything.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody was tired of mud the last 2 years. But again, in the coming months, those are all things that will need
Still being monitored on the punch list.
And there's a large retainage withheld from all the contractors until all of that, is addressed. So
Okay.
there's a carrot for them to make sure that they get back, and they know they have a lot of cleanup to do.
Okay, thank you.
Related to that, Kevin, can I add one more thing to the punch list? Can I
Yeah.
verbally tell you now? I just learned this today. You should have an email from Walt, drawing a blank on his last name, but 1543 Florence Avenue. There's a curb drain in front of his home, and one of the neighbors is draining a pool right now, and so you can very much see the water flowing to that drain.
Okay.
It's flowing there. However, it's not about a foot from the drain, and he sent you a video so you can see it's diverting apparently under the curbing because it's not actually, it's going somewhere, but it's not going to the
Okay.
grate.
Okay.
And so his concern is that that could cause some erosion under, the sidewalk towards his home.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to audience participation. At this time, anyone who would like to address council can come forward to the podium. You have 5 minutes to speak, and we just ask for your name and address as you address the podium.
Hello, my name's Danielle Fletcher. I live at 1392 County Road 1A, Ironton, Ohio, 45638. I've been dealing with some issues with the data center. I know we've talked about that the last few meetings. Additionally, with doing more research and dealing with some sensitive topics, I would like to ask the council to initiate an ordinance or a resolution to dissolve the Lawrence County Port Authority, or rather a transfer of assets to the city. My reason for that is due to Bill Dingus monopolizing all of Lawrence County. One man should not have so much power over our local trustees, our council members, and our government. We need to protect our county. So I'm asking for that.
Thank you for your input on that. Does anyone want to speak more into the Lawrence County Port Authority's function? As far as I know, I don't think we have authority over the Port Authority as a whole. But
We don't have authority over it. I'm on the board, but there's 10 members on that board. They dissolved the Ironton one, I think in 20, I don't know, I'm just looking at property deeds when they deeded certain things over, I think 2013. I don't know how you go about doing that.
And Mayor, could you explain a little bit more about the function of Lawrence County Port Authority? And
Yeah, it's a quasi non-government kind of governmental entity. It's a way to work for economic development projects that your standard governments cannot manage. For instance, like they have the depot right now. They're leasing it through the city, but the city didn't have the money at the time to improve the depot restaurant, so the Port Authority, it was leased to them on the terms that they would put all the money into improving it and that they would collect the rents until they were fully paid off for what they did. Things like that, whereas like the city typically would go through a bidding process to have to first sell it as is, or put the money in itself, which they didn't have. That's one example. And then like the Splash Park is another one we've run through there, the riverfront. It's for, it's like something that we own that we don't want to necessarily turn over, that we can't, and it gives them the ability to negotiate as you would in normal business dealings, where as a city or a county or any government entity cannot do that. As far as its establishment though, like I've been in on it 5-6 years, but it's been around longer than that. I don't know if you could start another city one or not. I don't know. I don't think we could dissolve that one. You could request the properties that they have in the city, which is entirely too many anymore. They've sold quite a bit of them. But yeah, I don't know the processes on the legal side of that stuff.
thank you. That's
And honestly, I don't know, Mac, do you know, because you're the only one I could think that's been around since.
Yeah, the Lawrence County Port Authority was created by the county commissioners. We don't have, we didn't create it, we can't dissolve it, okay, as a city council.
I'm not necessarily trying to dissolve it, it's more or less trying to come up with a resolution that will protect the Lawrence County residents as a whole, because with everything coming to light, with the data centers and the transfers of property that greatly affect areas that's not even zoned, the LADC we know owns over 88 properties. Bill Dingus acts as the head of the LADC, which also is a conflict of interest because he has 2 other powers over the Chamber of Commerce and as the head of the Port Authority. He has personally threatened me and some of my neighbors as head of the Port Authority. That's not okay. So I'm trying to find some kind of security and protection.
Understand. Jake, let's look at you.
We got an email from Brigham, because this has been an ongoing conversation,
Yes.
just legislation concerning data centers. And he recommended that council have a workshop. I would think that would fall under the realm of strategic planning, but if I'm wrong, someone can correct me. But I was thinking that it would be a good idea to maybe figure out a good time to meet for that so we can discuss that legislation. And I feel like port authorities could be part of that conversation. I mean,
Sure.
I don't know. So
Would that include the Secretary of State or the Auditor of State?
no, because it'd just be a workshop amongst council members.
Okay,
So,
not for the public too?
Well, it'd be open to the public. Yeah.
When
yeah.
will that be?
Well, I'm the chairman, and Robbie and Sarah are on the committee. So, is there a time that would work for you guys? And then
The whole council can do it as a
Yeah.
committee of the whole, it's called.
Yeah, we could do it as a committee of the whole.
If you want the whole council involved.
Yeah. I just know that when we've dealt with similar situations, we've ran it through strategic planning.
But
So
either way.
yeah, and my only worry would be that not everybody can make it. But is there a time in the near future, like a weekend or anything that? And I feel like we would need some solicitors,
Right.
yeah, to be able to iron out the details. But is there anything coming to mind for you guys? I don't want to.
Maybe we could even do it after the wastewater treatment budget workshop on the 31st, so it would be soon.
That sounds good to me. Yeah. Let me just
What
double
day
check.
of the week is?
It's January 31st, Saturday.
Saturday.
That workshop we were gonna do at the sewer plant though, so we have
Okay.
to, I'll note you wanna do that, this at the sewer plant. You wanna come back here?
Come back here probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
So January 31st to Saturday. What time?
I didn't realize I got Hot Wheels monster truck show on that Saturday.
Could we do before?
I'd be okay with doing before. Yeah. So I know that we talked about meeting at 8:30. Maybe we could do that, beforehand, and then if that's good with you guys.
8:30 a.m. here.
Yeah, that'd be good with that.
On January 31st.
Yeah, 8:30.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for
What's the discussion?
To discuss,
said
because
legislation.
Brigham sent, we don't have any ordinances on the agenda tonight because we needed to have a workshop, really.
To
So,
establish a legislation?
yeah, because nothing, there's just a lot that goes into it. So, it would be to discuss potential ordinances and, I guess, the overall situation and how we plan to, address zoning and kind of like how we did it before. So, yeah.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thanks, Jake. Any other audience participation? Moving on to communications. I see that we have a letter from Julie Harris regarding a couple of different items. Mario, I need your help on this. Is this something that a motion is needed to make that as part of the minutes? Or okay.
But I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who did it? Do you know who that came from? Did that come from Terry or did that come?
Yeah, that was good.
It looks like chopped up, incomplete. Is that the way you got it?
The way it was dropped off in the window.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
don't know if you even dropped it off.
there's a number up in the top right corner, so there's.
And it's like page 2,
Go
there's
page
no
one.
page 1.
Well, it starts page 3, and then page 1 is here.
Yeah.
So it's a little chopped up, but I was able to get the gist of it.
Well, I mean, that's how you got it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd motion to accept that as well.
Okay, perfect. We have a motion to accept the letter from Julie Harris as part of our meeting minutes. Do we have a second? Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
King. Harvey.
Hey.
Hawk. Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
I don't think, no one asked. You didn't say my name.
Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. Hawk.
Aye.
Yes, too.
Thank you, Marcus. The letter from Julie Harris will now become part of our meeting minutes. Sorry.
Can we give Kevin a copy of this?
Just
Could you have him add this to
He has
add this to the punch list?
He has it.
All right, thank you.
any other discussion? Moving on to reports, you can see that we have none. Now moving on to ordinances, we have ordinance number 2606, and Marta, if you could give first reading to that ordinance.
Amending the temporary budget for the city of Ironton, state of Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Jacob?
I'd like to mention that this received favorable recommendation from finance, and I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and give ordinance 2606 second and third reading by title only.
Very good. We have a motion by Jacob to give ordinance number 2606. It's just suspend the rules to give second and third reading by title only. So we have a second. Roll call.
Brown.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
Perfect. And the rules have been suspended. Marta, if you could go ahead and give second and third reading by title only to ordinance number 2606.
Amending the temporary budget for the city of Ironton, state of Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. Second reading. Amending the temporary budget for the city of Ironton, state of Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. Third reading.
Mr. Klein?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2606.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2606. We have a
I'll second that.
by Hawk.
Brown.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
Very good. Ordinance number 2606 has been adopted. Moving on to ordinance number 2601, imposing a moratorium on AI data centers and declaring an emergency. Marta, could you give this second reading by title only?
Imposing a moratorium upon AI data centers and declaring an emergency. Second reading.
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Did you reach out to Vertiv, Sam, or did anybody reach out to Vertiv about that?
Was I supposed
I just remember talk about, like, asking their opinion about this. Chris said he would. Okay. Never mind.
Could we, is that something we could, should we invite them to a portion of the workshop on that?
If they wanted to.
We can make an invitation.
Yeah, if they'd like to come, then more than welcome, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
So I know we discussed this last meeting, and the hope was to get some ordinances put together, and Brigham sent us an email saying, we need to discuss a little bit further, but my whole idea was that this would be a good safeguard. I don't think that this legislation is anti-AI. I think it's very similar to the rehab moratorium that we had. I don't think any of us is anti-recovery, but we had to do that because it was a similar situation where an industry was coming into town and, there were no checks or balances as far as their zoning was concerned. So, I mean, I don't want to make a motion if it's just going to fail, but I would like to try and see if we can pass it tonight. So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and give it third reading by title only.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have I'm sorry, Mr. Klein?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Jacob, but just from my position, again, my two things, I want to do it right through legislation, and I want to be cognizant of our largest employer in the city. So I don't want to be knee-jerk and say, no, we can't do this, but I want to be strategic in how we do it. That's just me. So for that purpose, I'm gonna vote yes, suspend the rules, and so if it's the will of the council to go forward with it, but I'm gonna vote no if it does go to third reading for those reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm just the opposite to that.
Okay.
That makes sense. Mac, I don't think that be careful about taking a straw.
I can tell you how I'm gonna vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
That's
just what it is. I want to be strategic in how we attack the zoning and where they could or could not be located. I want to go through that. That's just that's how I want to attack. I don't want to be knee jerk on it. I want to be cognizant of people that depend on those jobs.
I want to be cognizant too, but it's just that the last meeting, I think we were all hoping to have some ordinances on the table, and now
I wasn't aware of the intricacies of it.
Yeah, it's a complicated subject.
So
yeah,
but I think we need to do that now. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And again, I want to be cognizant of Vertiv and their input, and I was hoping that I forgot it was Haney. I thought it was the mayor that was going to invite somebody from Vertiv to give their input, because I don't want to send that message without telling them the intent of it, because I've had people ask me, like, why are you guys discouraging business? It's not that. We just want to attack this through zoning. And they say, oh, but I want to extend them that same opportunity. And I also think that if we don't pass it with 6, it's going to take 30 days anyway. So, I mean, anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. My opinion, I'm very torn. Like, I completely understand the logic, Jacob, that you mentioned. I also understand from Councilman Klein that I don't want to give the wrong optics to our largest employer in town. So it is something I'm very torn on as well. Just throwing this out that to me, I think it would be an easier thing for me to vote to concur on. Maybe if we shortened the duration of that from a year and made it maybe 3 months, just to give us time to work through some of that legislation piece. That way, maybe it doesn't appear like we are trying to do this is just a Band-Aid while we work on the bigger issue. I don't know if anybody else will.
Well, I forget that you weren't here whenever we went through something similar with the rehabs, and we ended up having to extend that moratorium, but the way that this is put in place, it can be rescinded at any time, so it doesn't have to last that 12 months.
Sure.
If we get our zoning sorted out, it was just a matter of passing another ordinance to rescind it.
Which I get that. I think for me, I feel like the optics might be a little bit better if it was, seen as a short-term thing rather than a year-long thing, from that employer.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion?
Motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Hawk to suspend the rules and give ordinance number 2601 third reading. And I'm sorry, yes, and Councilman.
No, I didn't second that.
You did not second. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we have a second by Mr. Scott.
Brown,
No.
Harvey,
No.
Hawk,
Aye.
Klein,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons. Aye.
Take 6 votes to suspend.
Okay, so, very good. So moving on to resolutions. I see that we have none. Any miscellaneous?
Needless to say, with the snowpocalypse coming, we've had lots of calls about roads and specific questions about why we have city vehicles with snow plows on the front, or that appear to have plows on the front, but we don't actually plow roads. I know there was a reason, and I know you and I have discussed this in the past, but I don't recall. So I said, I will ask that there are various surfaces in town of concrete and blacktop and brick, and I know that's one of the many reasons that we don't, because we don't want to pull up brick or pull up blacktop that we just put down. But
I mean, there's well, not towards you, but whoever made this statement is not valid. We do scrape the roads and we do salt. And as far as we go, we have to take care of the main routes primarily in the, what do we call it, the on-service roads, like the ones you wouldn't know about, like Kemp and Spruce are also part of those where they have hills, and there's some hills out 141 that we have to address, and then 3rd Street and 2nd Street, Park Avenue, those are the ones that we have to hit. I mean, last time the snow apocalypse hit, I mean, it was a matter of ice, snow, and it was 16 inches, which is, we used the amount of salt in that 3-day span that we use typically in the entire winter.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if they want more, it'd be a good time to start talking about increasing the street department budget.
So, in your opinion, we're as ready as we can be for...
Yeah, we can do so much, you know, but...
The specific request was around bus traffic, obviously, but that was a concern.
We can't hit every street in the city. I mean, it's almost impossible.
Questions, I'm curious on that as well, like, does the plowing start as soon as the storm starts? Even because it looks like on the weekend.
The salting usually is the first process, and that's as soon as, like, even if we don't try to get way too ahead of it, that way in case it doesn't come, it's a waste, but, you know, as it starts, that's when we start salting, and then you're plowing once, I mean, that makes it 10 times easier if you have the salt down already. Problem we run into here, just our area, we get a lot of freezing rain, which is difficult to deal with once that hits. So when we're focused on 3rd and 2nd and all those other streets first, the ice may already be, you know, so it's a waste of time trying to scrape the ice.
Sure.
Then one more thing. I think someone already reached out to you, and or probably some other council members about 13th Street possibly being a one-way street because of the people not parking on 12th Street, and they usually park on 13th, or their garages are there. And
this was about the alley.
Yeah. Yes.
Technically the alley, but there's a dispute between that person saying it's 13th Street. About people, they wanted speed bumps. I told them if they bought speed bumps, we'll put them in, but we don't buy speed bumps.
The ask for me was that it maybe be one way if
it's just going to go faster. That was the problem they had, was people speeding and stuff. But I told them we could get some signage, but I don't know if it'll fix anything, making it one way or not. That wasn't brought to me, that part of it.
Okay. Just thought I'd put it on your radar.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to accept and make part of the minutes the December 2025 financials.
I'll second that. Motion by Klein, second by Hawk to file the December 2025 financials and make part of the minutes. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Perfect, so motion carries to file and make those financials as part of our minutes. Any more miscellaneous? Councilman Klein.
Motion adjourned.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Klein and a second by Harvey. Roll call.
Brown.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.